All right, so this recording is going to be on par bonds. And as you can see here on the left hand side, I have the PowerPoint here of par bonds. And on the right side, you see a blank screen. And that's my digital whiteboard. So what I want to do on the right side is just provide some clarity on what is on the left side. So par bonds are bonds that are issued at its face value. So if the par value or face value is $100,000, that's it. The bond is going to be issued at 100% of the value, which is $100,000. Okay, so here's an example here on the left side. So for example, the face value of the bond equals the market value of the bond. So that's a par bond. So whatever is on the face value, if it's $100,000, the value or the market is going to be the same exact amount. That's how much it's going to be worth. So the market value is also going to be $100,000. So face value or par value $100,000, that's going to be equivalent to the market value on the bond of $100,000. So that's par bonds. So I have here a scenario. So assume Nike issues $100,000 of 8% 2-year bonds dated December 31st, 2021. So I'm going to put on here 100,000. That's going to be my par value. Okay, and it's of 8%. 8% is going to be the coupon rate or contract rate, also known as stated rate. Okay. So this will be a 2-year bond. So 2-year bonds dated December 31st, 2021 that mature on December 31st, 2023. So on December 31st, 2021, this is when it was issued. All right, so it was issued on December 31st, 2021, and it's going to reach its maturity on December 31st, 2023. Okay, this is when it reaches maturity. All right, and pay interest semi-annually each June 30th and December 31st. Okay. So let me zoom out here on this whiteboard here. All right. So on June 30th and December 31st, that's a semi-annual here, interest payments are going to be made. Interest payments are made on those dates. So if all bonds are sold at par value, Nike will record the following entry. Okay. So, yes, if all bonds are sold at par value, Nike is going to record the sale as follows. They're going to debit cash of $100,000, credit bonds payable of $100,000. So this is Nike issuing out the bond. So they've created a liability for themselves. So when they issue the bond, so the bond is going to have on there what you see here on the screen, the par value of it, which is $100,000, is going to have the coupon, contract, or stated rate. In this case, 8%. It's going to have everything else laid out. It's going to give the dates on when the bond is issued. It's going to have the maturity date on there. And it's going to have on there what dates our interest payments are going to be made. So in this case, interest payments are going to be made semi-annually. So on December 31st, 2021, so this is the transaction date. Once Nike issued the bond in exchange to receive cash, they're going to go ahead and debit cash, as you can see here on the left side, of $100,000 because they received cash. All right. So why did they receive cash? They received cash because they issued out a bond, which means that they created a liability for themselves called bonds payable of $100,000. Okay. So this is the entry here that is made as of December 31st, 2021. All right. Now, next slide here. Okay, hopefully it did get everything. Yes. So This next slide here shows the first semi-annual interest payment that is made. So Nike record the first interest payment that that was made, and here's the entry here. Okay, so we see that the bond was issued on December 31st, 2021, a debit to cash and a credit to bonds payable for $100,000 each. And now after the first year, or half of the first year of the bond being outstanding, right? The one of the first semi-annual interest payment is going to be made on that bond. So now what Nike has to do is record that. All right. So on June 30th, 2022, so new year, they're going to go ahead and record that interest payment that was made. Okay. So since interest payment was made, so a payment was made, we're going to go ahead and credit cash for $4,000. Okay. That's calculated by, as you can see here, $100,000. Okay, that's your face value. Okay, multiplied by 8%. That's your coupon rate or stated rate or contract rate. And you're going to multiply it by, you can do 6 out of 12 if you wanted to, or 1/2 year. But yes, it's going to be 6 out of 12. And that's going to give you $4,000. Okay, you can calculate it that way, or you can calculate it this way. $100,000 multiplied by 8%. That's going to give you 8,000. And then you can go ahead and divide that $8,000 by 2. Okay, 2 periods to get $4,000. Because this $8,000 represents 1 year, $4,000 is going to represent you making the payment twice in 1 year. However way you want to do it, or record or determine what the interest is going to be on a par bond. All right. So cash payment was made for $4,000 on June 30th, 2022. And what was it for? It was for bond interest expense. Okay, that's going to be a debit of $4,000. All right, so I know I'm not aligned here, but you can see the debit is going towards bond interest expense. This credit here of $4,000, that's going towards cash. All right, on June 30th, 2022. So you see here that it says that on the left side, it says the same entry is going to be made every 6 months, but with a different date. So what does that mean? That means that 6 months after June 30th, 2022, which is going to be December 31st, 2022, the same entry will apply. You're going to debit bond interest expense. My handwriting is horrible. I do know that. For $4,000, you're going to also credit cash for that same amount. Okay, you're going to do this all the way up until the maturity date on the bond. So again, notice here that the cash payments that are made throughout the year, it's only going towards the interest on the bond. It's not going towards the face value or the par value. Again, that's the difference between a bond and a note. When you are making cash payments on a note, you not only are covering the interest, you also are paying down on the principal balance on that note. All right, next slide. All right, so when the bond reaches its maturity date, you're going to create another entry on December 31st, 2023. So that's 2 years. And you're going to pay back all of that amount that's shown as the face value, which is $100,000. So you're going to go ahead and credit cash for $100,000. And what was that cash payment for? It's to pay off that liability in full, which is going to be debited to bonds payable for that same amount. And you're only making this payment at the maturity date as of December 31st, 2023.